live. Hi, Vidya. Welcome to Film Companion.
Thank
And,
you.
more importantly, welcome to the first ever live FC post mortem where we're going to discuss and dissect Sherni. I have to tell you that it is so refreshing to have an actor, and I'm going to put this on record, come forward and volunteer to say that she'd like to have a conversation with her audience about their response to the film. It's also my first ever YouTube live, so thank you for making it such a grand one for me. There are going to be bouquets, there are going to be brickbats, but I assure you that since it's Film Companion, the conversation will always be civil.
I'm sure. And I look forward to it really because we've been getting such a great response. And I just thought it would be, nice to hear what people have to say directly. So
No,
thank you for doing this.
it's really refreshing for me as well. I want to start by just asking you, how did you so effortlessly just become and blend into the world of Sherni? Because I know you're someone who said that you weren't really an animal lover or a wildlife enthusiast. How did you get yourself to care enough? Because I feel that was the first thing.
Oh my God. I think, yes, I'm not an animal lover, but, I love the jungle. Yes, when I say I love the jungle, it's probably I love the jungle today. Previously, I've been on jungle safaris, but I was never absolutely at ease in the jungle. This film has changed that. I think when you go there, it's such a humbling experience. You realize how inconsequential, for example, your problems are, or the issues you have in life are, because nature has that ability to make you realize. So I think once I went there, and I went there 4 or 5 days before shoot, because we wanted to also do rehearsals in the jungle, because we were allowed to shoot only for a certain number of hours, and in the less populated areas of the jungle, not where you have a lot of animal traffic. So uh, that helped me get into, I think, just it made me it really awakened me to the sights and sounds of the jungle. You suddenly realize that in the jungle you're that much more alert. You're attuned to all that, like the little stream, gurgling stream, or the birds chirping, and then the little sounds, the um, the shuffling of feet, and the way dried leaves crack under people's feet, and suddenly you're disconnected from the rest of the world. Also, the fact that you didn't have network, I think it's very easy to get lost in that world. We had a consultant um, on set, Mr. Virani, who I used to have lots of conversations with, and this film actually opened up my mind to. I think it changed my relationship with nature. I think I only wanted to enjoy its beauty, but beyond that, I didn't want to engage, or I was just indifferent, I'll be very honest. Um, but suddenly, you begin to realize when he told me how these are things that I've read and, I've known, but I've not really thought about it. But when he told me um, how protecting the tiger actually meant protecting the entire ecosystem, the food chain, because the tiger is at the top of the food chain, and how protecting the jungle means protecting the tiger equals protecting the jungle equals, which is also in the film when those people say कि शेर है तो जंगल है तो पानी है. So you realize when you go through an experience like this, you realize what the meaning of a symbiotic relationship is. So I
Really.
think I actually I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed shooting there. I think you can't help but just immerse yourself in that experience. So I don't know whether it's really, I can take the credit for anything here. Maybe I owe it to nature.
No, but if I remember right, you were there right when the inkling of the pandemic was coming into India. Am I right?
Yeah.
You were just secluded and away from this in a world of your own shooting Sherni, and here the world was changing forever.
I remember, we'd only have network in the hotel. And I was actually staying in a tent in the first schedule. So you really had a small patch where
Mhm.
you'd have network. I called Siddharth, and when Siddharth told me a couple of times, I said, I wasn't reading anything. I wasn't watching TV. So I thought he was overreacting. I said, what rubbish. You know, we are living in these modern times. Nothing of that sort is going to happen. I had no idea. And then one day my producer calls and says, Vikram Malhotra, he says, there's been a directive from the Film Association saying you're not going to be allowed to shoot post the 17th. So we have to wrap up and come back. And that's when it hit me. I still didn't, I have to say, there was a lot of disbelief in me. Even when I was headed back, I was like, "Oh, what is this really, what is this rubbish?" When I reached Bhopal airport, there were 56 people at the airport that day. And I suddenly felt, it was I think that's when I realized that, oh, there was something wrong actually. And then by the time we came to Bombay, and there was no traffic when I came back home, the lockdown had not yet been announced. But it was still there was something different, which I remember feeling so low because I couldn't understand what was happening. Then, of course, the lockdown happened. So, yeah, I was completely disconnected.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to tell everyone who's watching, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We're already over 100 plus viewers, which is great. I am going to take as many questions I have promised you guys. So keep sending your questions in. In fact, after my next question, I will go into an audience question. I want to talk a little bit about what the response has been like for you, Vidya. Of course, it's been largely a big, big thumbs up from the audience. How have the responses been to you? And is there something that's stayed with you in terms of reaction from people?
It's been overwhelmingly positive, and I honestly didn't know what to expect, Sneha, because it's not your run of the mill film. It's
Hmm.
got a different pace. It's got his Amit's approach to storytelling is very different,
Yeah.
and I'm not able to find another word for it's unusual. It's not the expected. So I really didn't know what to expect. I thought people would watch the film, but I didn't know they would watch the film as soon as it dropped. And that was a pleasant surprise for me. But it's been so positive. And what's amazing is that people are writing these long messages about the various takeaways from the film. You know, um, so it's really, you realize that they've connected with the film at various levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking someone, I said, did you how were you about the pace of the film?
Mm-hmm.
And she told me and said, but when you go to the jungle, sometimes you don't see anything for a long time, and then suddenly you spot pug marks or you spot. And I said, oh my God, Amit used to say exactly this when it came to the pace of the film. That means that's,
Connected.
that, yeah, that's connected with people. That's carried through, which is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. There are so many comments coming in. Vinisha, I'm going to leave it to you to pick one because I feel like this is so hard to choose from. But, I have Sanket here. That's right. That's one I was reading as well. As a fan, I'm so emotional, happy, and proud to see Sherni and Vidya receiving so much love and praise from the audience and critics both. Every day, I'm reading many tweets and comments. Yes, that is really the wave of Sherni that is taking over. There's
Thank
Veer who
you, Sanket. Thank you so much.
there's I think Dipali Singh. Oh, sorry. Let's take Veer. How was your experience working with Vijay Raj and Sharat Saxena? What does it really do for an actor to have someone match your talent and match your caliber? And just what's that experience like?
It's when you're working with actors who are so effortless, who are so good at what they do, it, there is, because acting is about this give and take, no? I
Mm.
think you also flow more easily. I think that's what it was with Vijay Raj. With Vijay Raj, it's like, especially Vijayji, I think he's so effortless that it used to surprise me. It's almost like behavior to him.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to express it. Sharat Saxena, how lovely, and he used to be so quiet on set, would hardly say anything, but I think he was, really conserving his energy for the shot. And then in the shot, he would be like this, macho, ultra macho, uber macho hunter. And he's so different from the character he's played in person. He's very mild mannered. So
So
he's so,
hard to believe.
yeah, so it was lovely. Even Brijinder Kala, Brijinder ji, Ila ji, Suma ji, who plays my mother, Mukul Chadda. What lovely actors, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about a scene that you found particularly hard to crack, or something you're particularly proud of, because now that the bunch of us have seen the film, I think it'll be nice to think back to it. Is there a scene that you're particularly proud of?
Not one scene, but I think, and I don't know about proud of, but I will tell you that I grapple with. Um, it took me a little bit to get my head around how non-reactive she was. Because today we're also living in such a these are very reactive times. Everyone has a reaction to everything, whether or not they know what is happening. Also, look at social media, look at what's happening. And I felt therefore that she'll be perceived as being passive, because she's not passive. So I would wonder sometimes if her angst, her inner frustration was getting conveyed, or was I looking placid? But Amit was absolutely sure. He said, no, there are people like Vidya Vincent who, you know, uh, sometimes they're just ignoring what people are saying and moving on. And sometimes they are very reserved and withdrawn, and, they don't have the right words to say. Maybe sometimes it's fear, maybe uh, sometimes it's just choosing your battles. Whatever it is, there are people like Vidya Vincent. And Sneha, I'm amazed by the kind of reactions to that. I kept wondering, because I of course went with with the conviction of my director. And initially, couple of times I asked him that. When he assured me that this is how he saw Vidya Vincent, I just stopped asking.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how, that would connect. And the number of people who've written to me about that particular aspect, saying, the number of women, especially, who've said that we've had to keep quiet in so many times. I think I'm a strong woman, but, I'm not strong in the way that people are normally perceived to be strong. Like, today, I think we also associate strength with aggression.
Yeah.
But there are lots of people who are not that. But does it mean she's not strong? No, she is a very strong woman. So, I think in that sense, I'm so glad that it has translated the way it has, and I'm getting so much praise for the performance. But it is Amit Masoodkar all the way, really.
That actually brings me very organically to what I was one of my favorite scenes in the film. It's got to maybe be that, just that slight moment when her mother-in-law is chiding her for not wearing enough jewelry. Like you said, there were so many ways that that scene could have been played, and yeah, we're going to try and bring it up on screen. But just that moment of the way she played it, of not reacting, of maybe picking your own battles.
Yeah.
How do you create this?
Yeah, picking your battles is what it is really about. But I have to say that on set we tried a couple of reactions.
Mm-hmm. What would like what do you?
Just within the scene, because this was one. Another was a more plain face, like almost poker face. She's like, okay, so she's not being
Mm-hmm.
dismissive, but she's not here. You literally know that she's telling herself that my mother-in-law is here for a couple of days. What do I lose? Just let me not waste any time here. And she just does that. Okay, you know that's what it is. No, so many people are non-confrontational, and that has connected with so many people. I'm quite amazed, actually.
Yeah, no, that's
Because
true.
you could have so many different approaches. I would have thought that, if it was me, Vidya, as a person, I would have probably just gotten irritated. But, Vidya Vincent
Now
is
you've
obviously.
taught me a new way to approach it. So thank you. There are lots of questions, lots of love coming in. Vidya's character repressed so many emotions. I expected more gritty expression, like a rebellion. Didn't you feel that way? So that actually was something I was. That's Harsh Kumar's question. If you can pull that up. I know you mentioned that Amit is a director whose touch is light. Did you ever worry that that lightness could be too light at some points?
No, that's what I was saying, because which is why I was worried. One is as a person, she's non-reactive, she's non-confrontational. It's very internal for her. And then he's not really pronouncing it by using background music, or,
Yeah.
by putting a close up where you expect a close up. So, I was wondering how it would translate,
Hmm.
for sure, because it's a different approach completely.
Yeah.
But I trusted that he obviously knew what he was doing. But it's
But
just that I didn't imagine it till I saw it,
correct, correct.
because it's
But
not
as
something
an
I'm used
actor, sorry, as an actor, what are the challenges of reining in a performance? Like, did you ever find yourself go extra and then have to pull back because this was all new territory, also in a sense?
Yeah, I think that was part of the process. So sometimes it would, Amit would tell me, okay, you can do a little more here.
Huh?
And
Yeah.
sometimes he tell me, yeah. And then sometimes he tell me, no, I just don't have, just feel it, don't let it show. Not in so many words, but, in whatever way he communicated that to me. And I'd be like, so a lot of times I did feel confused. I didn't know what was the right amount, what was the balance. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, he could see what I was doing, and he was sure about it, and therefore, you know, he knew it was working. And I trust the director. I never checked the monitor or anything. So if he was okay, I was okay. But yes, it is. Sometimes you wonder.
Yeah, I'm just flooded by the questions and I'm trying to do justice. Sorry if I look distracted. But Prashant Mishra says that writers said they chose Vincent as Vidya's surname after Van Gogh since they wanted to translate Van Gogh's innocence into the character. Did you research Van Gogh's personality for the role? Is this true?
Uh, I'm not aware of it. Has Amit said that in an interview or something? Because that's not something he shared. I think they were just looking at a few surnames and this sounded good. But knowing Amit and Astha, who's the writer
Mm-hmm.
of the, they
Mm-hmm.
must have gone into research for that also.
Yeah.
But what I was told is that he asked me if I'm okay with the character being called Vidya, and I said yes. And then they said Vidya Vincent, and I was like, wow, it sounds good. But so that was about it.
Yeah. But the other thing, Vidya, is that you were shooting with a lot of real life forest officials and theater actors as well. And I can imagine that just having the Vidya Balan on set can be an intimidating experience for them. So I want to know from you, what did you do, or what did you have to do to ensure that they're able to look past Vidya, the star, and focus on Vidya, the actor?
You know, I I like engaging with people. I like talking to people. So I think that's always when when people feel that maybe they have a certain perception of actors being, um, inaccessible or whatever. But I think that didn't happen here because I was chatting with everyone. I was more interested, because they were people with immense knowledge about the jungle,
That's
because
true.
they have, their the jungle is part of their everyday lives.
Yeah.
So I think because of the conversations, it was they didn't seem conscious at all. And about we had a lot of villagers and forest department officials, and I was more interested in what they do. So I don't think I think it probably helped. I hadn't thought of it this way, but maybe that helped.
I can imagine. I mean, I just feel like there's something, the true sign of a star is when they're able to make people around them, feel comfortable. So
Right.
I've always wondered what it takes to be able to crack that. Because I know that you do that so effortlessly every single time we meet.
Oh, thank you. But it's because I'm interested in people, I think, Sneha. Like, I want to know a lot about. I'm very inquisitive, I'm very curious. I'm I love talking to people. I love knowing their stories. So maybe that's why people feel comfortable. I don't know. But I'm glad they do.
So there is my conflict with the character Vidya Vincent would remain to be that she was never vocal even when she saw something wrong happen. At the same time, it was not a weak character. What do you have to say about it? Asks Nitesh Shahani.
Um, Hi, Nitesh. I think it's exactly that, that not everyone reacts to what is happening around them. A lot of times they feel, sometimes they feel fear, um, fearful to react.
Mhm.
Sometimes they are conflicted, they are not sure. Sometimes they feel incapacitated. Sometimes they just don't want to expend any energy reacting. It could be any one of these, or it could be all of these. So I think, like I said, Vidya Vincent picked her battles. She felt that there's no point reacting because what I say is not going to change anyone's way of thinking or their attitude. What I do could. Let me do my job properly. I think that was her only focus. She didn't let anything, um, distract her from her purpose.
You should know that there's an intense chat happening about how you are the Meryl Streep of India, but then there's enough opposition to that saying, do not compare her with Meryl Streep. She is Vidya Balan, and that name is enough.
Oh my God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sure each one of this is a compliment. So thank you.
Gauri says, can we please address how the name Vidya suits Vidya's character so well? Are you one of the few actresses who has actually used her name 3 or 4 times, if I'm not mistaken?
Four
Do
times.
you-
Kahani, Kahani 2, and Sherni. But you know, um, I don't know if any other actor has used their name or not. But yeah, it just so happened, it's not like I was instrumental in that ever, not once. But Balki was the first to do it, and then Shujoy did it, and yeah,
Let's just say your name is a right fit with the face. It just
yeah.
goes really well. Yeah. Raghav wants to know what you see when you're hearing a script. His name is Raghav Productions, so I think there's an ulterior motive there. But what is Vidya Balan looking for when she's listening to a script?
Hi, Radha Productions. I think it's just about it's an instinctive decision. Yeah, I feel like sometimes when I'm hearing something, I get excited by the story and the character, and I always ask myself if it's the kind of film that I'd go and watch in the theater. If the
Hmm.
answer to that is no, then I won't do it. Because which is why I've not been able to do horror yet, because I don't watch horror. Unless that changes, then maybe I'd start doing horror films also. But I think it's most importantly that. And then, of course, once I feel like this is a story I want to tell, or this is a character I want to play, then later comes, there are other considerations, very important ones, like the director and the producer. Because it's the director's vision I'm going to live out, and the producer is very crucial to make sure that the film gets made the right way and gets, the right kind of platform and or a release.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Vidya, you were easily one of the first pioneers of the new wave of women oriented films with the dirty picture. Now, when you sit back and see it exploding as a genre in itself, how does that make you feel?
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, I of course didn't choose to start this wave of women-oriented cinema or anything. It just happened by the by. But it's great that I think it's no longer going to be called the trend or this. It's just here to stay. I think we're going to be telling more women's stories, female stories. And I think at some point that line will get blurred between male and female stories.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But let's love Sherni. Oh, is there anything that you can tell us? Sahil wants to know about your movie with Pratik Gandhi. Are we commenting? What is it about? No, lips are sealed. Okay. Um, should we take Deepak's question? Deepak Sarkar says the scene where the copper mine is revealed and we are told how it's creating a nuisance for animals to cross over. I was horrified, and Vidya Vincent's emotional breakdown added to my dread. Bravo.
Thank you so much, Deepak. I think that is a scene, that as a scene is an eye opener, because I've never thought about.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, and when I went there, and even as a scene, when I read it, I was like, okay, it's just heightening the conflict. But when I went to the actual mine, I still remember that feeling that, oh my God, what are we doing? And I'm not saying that you can do away with development, or it can't be an either or, but I definitely think that there has to be some way that we don't compromise our forests and our wildlife
Yeah,
for the sake of
absolutely.
development.
Azad asks you, hi ma'am, good to see you live. Is there any part, sorry, I've lost that. Is there any part of the movie which you like more and find amazing? Is there a favorite part to the movie?
uh, I think my portions in the jungle I absolutely loved. So I'm partial to those portions more than the scenes that we shot in the house or in the office and all of that. um, yeah, I
Are you
think my
missing the
portions in the
jungle?
jungle. Oh, most definitely. But you know what's amazing, Sneha? It's like when I was in Bhoot Palasi during the first schedule, um, we were living in tents,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and not near a dense forest, so it was very safe and all that. But I used to go off for these long walks on my own, and I walked so much during that period. I didn't realize that I was probably compensating in advance for the lack of being able to be in the open in the months to come. And I was enjoying it so much because also we were only, I would be, I would leave for shoot slightly late those days because of, like I told you, the period during which we could shoot in the day and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so joyous, and I miss the jungle. If someone told me we were doing a jungle film, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I also want to take a moment to appreciate the walk. It was very walked in, and it was not an actress's walk. You know what I mean? Just I was so glad to see the shoes were worn and the walk felt real.
Right. The shoes were worn. Manushi Rushi, who were the costume designers in the film, they took care of these details. Also the clothes weren't really always ironed.
Yeah.
These were the little touches that, because, for example, and Amit would literally have my hair a little disheveled. And once I made my hair in the morning, I was not allowed to touch it in the day. My hairdresser literally had no work through the day because there was no tidying up and all that. My makeup artist would just about put some makeup to protect my skin, but that was about it. So it was, these little things go such a long way. About the walk, I just felt that she's not like I didn't she's very she's very like, like anyone you'd
See.
there's nothing heroic about her. She's a normal regular person. So I'm glad that you liked it. Thank you.
Yeah.
No one's
There was
commented
almost
on the
one
walk,
scene where
but
there was almost one scene where I almost wanted to brush the hair past your face because it was there and I was, but that's
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about as well.
I'd sweat, and normally when you sweat, then your makeup and hair people come and touch it up and all that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, if there's a hair sticking on the face, let it be stuck on the face. You're not going to touch it.
It was stuck. I know that scene.
Yeah, yeah.
But what did it do for the actor's vanity? Like, just
I think my, I think,
because I know you like dressing up. I know you love looking good. It translates so well. So what does a role like this just do for the vanity of being an actor?
but I think beauty is as beauty does. So
Hmm.
for me, truth of to be able to live a role, the look is a big part of it, right? That's a tool we have: makeup, hair, costume, like you said, walk, mannerisms, voice, all of that. So if that's what's going to give that person body and believability and all that, then I'm absolutely okay. I don't think, because I'm not, firstly, I don't think you need makeup to look good.
You certainly don't.
Thank you. No, but I genuinely think so. I don't think too much. I've done a lot of films where I've not had makeup. I think Jessica was one of the first films that I did with no makeup, and I was absolutely okay.
Yeah. No, but talking about clothes and makeup in the real world, I know there was a couple of years in the past, you really struggled with coming to yourself in terms of fashion. And I could see the effort there. Cut to now, it's amazing to see you have so much fun with fashion. You're flaunting the Sherni sari and completely owning it. I feel like there's a lesson in here for the rest of us. How did you get to this point of just being so comfortable in you and making it work for you?
I realized that, when people, this was 2007, 8, I think, when I was getting a lot of criticism for what I wore. I kept trying to alter things, saying, oh, this time they criticized this, so next time I shouldn't do that. So there was a lot of thought that got into it, to the extent that I would get really stressed before I made an appearance.
Oh,
I would get so stressed that I would start feeling unwell. I would bloat up because I was so scared of the judgment that was awaiting me. Then after a while, I realized that whatever I did, people were criticizing me. So I said, forget it. I'm not going to make everyone happy. It happened over a period of, I think, a year, or maybe a few, I think 10 months or a year or maybe longer. I don't remember the period of time it took. But finally, I realized that I should just do what I like. And I met Sabyasachi Mukherjee around that time. And, though I haven't met him or spoken to him in the longest time now, I will always be grateful to him for the fact that he said, what do you enjoy wearing? And I said, I love wearing saris. And he said, you should wear saris. You look gorgeous in saris. So I said, but people say I'm dressing older and that it's dowdy to wear a sari and it's not glamorous and all that. He said, forget all that, just do what you want. Because if you feel good, you look good. And actually, I embraced the sari because I enjoy wearing saris. And suddenly, people started literally applauding my sartorial choices. So it was, I think you have to wear and do and be whoever you want to be. And the world will come around because they'll have no option.
so thank you to Sabyasachi from all of us as well, because you've made the sari sexy, which what it really is. But I do know that you said on a clubhouse chat that I was on as well that you actually own just 25 saris.
Yes. I'm I'm actually I'm not a hoarder. And
That's
in my case,
wonderful.
yeah, I also, I get sent saris by designers from all over the country, and also weavers. So one, I return as much as I can. I wear and I return to the designers as much as I can, so that, because where am I going to store them, and what am I going to do? I can't just keep looking at them. I need to constantly let go of things. I like doing that every few weeks, sometimes
Wow.
months. I just do a clear out. And also, if someone likes something I'm wearing, I'm like, I'm happy to, launder it and give it to you, if you're okay to use it, because you'll definitely use it more than I will. Because I'm constantly, it's also, um, I think, though I believe in sustainable fashion in my personal life, when I make appearances, invariably I'm not repeating clothes, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense doing anything. So I've only kept those which have a, like the sentimental value for me.
Lovely. That is really preaching sustainability in a big way. Really, it is. But Vidya, when your name kind of gets associated with excellence over a period of time, when there's a Vidya Balan film that releases, I know my parents will say, "Let's watch this in the theater." You know what I mean? So, how do you keep honing your craft then? How do you keep ensuring that you're getting better?
Firstly, a big thank you to your parents for me.
It
um,
also helps that you're Malayali and so are they.
um, I, you know, I feel like I don't take anything very literally or seriously. So if a
Mhm.
film is does well, if people have liked my work, that's great, and I'm grateful. But there's another job at hand, and I just I enjoy what I do, Sneha. So I try and do my best every single time. I literally am living my dream. The only dream I've ever had was to be an actor. And therefore, every day I think I go in with, this, I feel blessed to be living my dream, to be playing different roles, to be working with some people I've admired, some, people just who are great at what they do. It's such joy. So I
Yeah.
think that motivates me to just try and do my best.
Lovely. I know that we'll have to let you go soon, but I'll take two last questions if that's okay from the audience. And then we will let you go. Shubham says, like, did you go through the tigress behavioral pattern? I know that Siddhant Chaturvedi before Gully Boy said that he kind of studied the tiger because studied the lion because that's what his character Sher was about. Did you have a process like that? Anything of all in terms of behavioral pattern of the Sherni?
Yeah, because I watched documentaries and I read about that about um, tiger behavior, and I don't think I thought of it like that, but I did it as part of my, not because Vidya Vincent and the Sherni, there's a metaphor there, but just because I was curious to know, more about the world I was getting into.
Interesting. Interesting. And I know there are a bunch of questions asking you what you can tell us about upcoming projects. Is there any revelation that can be made?
Yes, I'm doing Suresh Triveni's next. So after Tumhari Sulu, we are getting together to do another film. And I don't know when we'll be able to start, but fingers crossed that it's sooner than later. Because things have to open up fully for us to be able to start shooting. But I'm excited about that one.
Mohit is asking, how do you switch to a different character? Like we saw you in Shakuntala Devi and now in Sherni, which are both polar opposites. That is true. Like if I were to, like, how do you switch between characters and do they stay behind? Like if I were to mention Shakuntala Devi, do you feel like there's a
Yeah,
switch?
what happened after Shakuntala Devi is a lot of times I was speaking English, I realized that the South Indian accent was creeping in because I'd done so much of that, especially the match shows and all with the slight South Indian accent. So that was funny. But I take a lot of time between my films, which is why I do one or two films a year. So I have enough time to get out of one and get into another. But I don't think I'd be able to like just switch between films because
Right.
it is quite an all-consuming process.
Stay back in you? Does some elements stay behind?
Of course, it does.
Yeah.
Especially the more intangible things, like owning one's success. With Shakuntala Devi, I think that I realized she was so unapologetic about her success, about being a genius, about wanting the world and having it too. You know, that left an impact. In Sherni, I think, like I said, it's altered my relationship with nature. So every
Mhm.
film, every character leaves you with something. It's like any human interaction would, you know. And here you're trying to think for the other person, you're trying to feel for the other person. So that tends to happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for giving us so much of your time to like dissect and decode and discuss and really just juice Sherni out. I'm going to leave with one last question. I know that you have a scent for pretty much every character. Did Vidya Vincent smell a particular way?
Yes, I used Gucci Bloom for Vidya Vincent because Bloom, jungle, all of that. So yes,
Do
I used.
appreciate my jungle theme for this interview as
Yes,
well.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's joined in and who asked questions, and even those who didn't. But thank you very much, and thank you, Sneha and film companion.
Thank
I
you so much. To
really
the bunch
enjoyed.
of you whose questions we couldn't take, sorry, but I hope we've covered the gist of it at some part in this chat. If you missed the start of it, it's going to be up on Film Companions YouTube channel forever and ever. So feel free to keep rewatching it, just like you must Sherni as well. Multiple
Yes,
viewing and dissect the layers.
right, right.
Thank you, Vidya. This was my pleasure entirely.
Thank you, Sneha. I loved it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.